All right, Gemini Ascendant, Gemini Rising, this is going to be your video for April, the beginning of April 2020. We're going to talk about Venus, we're going to talk about Mars, we're going to talk about Saturn, we're going to talk about added ease, we're going to talk about restrictions and rules. We're going to find out the time, the frequency. We're going to understand who in our life is going to be involved when it comes to restrictions, where in our life that's going to happen. We're also going to talk about the full moon that's happening in the sign of Libra. You want to know where in your life the full moon happens, because the full moon is all about our emotions, and it elevates and escalates our emotions. And we are all facing stress and tension and uneasiness and uncertainty in a time when we're all facing this pandemic lockdown that we're in. So we have Mars conjunct Saturn. Saturn is restrictions and rules. Mars is our physical actions in our bodies. I'm actually recording this today on the 28th of March, and by the end of March, the very last day of March, the 31st, those two planets will be together. And when they're together, they represent our movements not, being completely restricted, because it's Saturn on top of Mars saying, sit down, don't move. Right? And so we're gonna take a look at this. We're gonna find out, when does Mars get away from Saturn? Because when Mars gets away from Saturn, that helps us to figure out when, like how long, how tight things are gonna be for how long. So let's not wait any longer and dip into the all astrology. Here we go. We're gonna discuss Venus. Okay, Venus is beneficial. Venus is considered, think about Venus. She rules the sign Taurus and she rules the sign Libra. Okay, Venus is about love and relationships and beauty. She wants things to be peaceful. Venus likes nice things. Venus loves shoes. Venus loves material stuff. Think about your Venus, okay? Find out where your natal Venus is in your chart, because where your natal Venus is located will tell you what kind of a Venus you have, meaning how it is that you love, how it is that you value things, how it is that others can show you love. So maybe you don't really understand all that. Maybe it's kind of foggy in your own mind. Maybe you're still figuring that out. If you don't know where any of these things I'm about to talk about are, as I talk about them, I want you to go ahead and comment your digits below, and I can find out for you, and I can help you to better understand. If you have a question prepared, that helps me to more clarify, to answer, to get right to the point, to answer your question. But you're going to want to know what area of your life Saturn's going to be transiting through. And I can begin and tell you, because Saturn is in Aquarius energy. Now, if you are a Gemini Ascendant, Gemini Rising, Saturn in the sign of Aquarius is going through your 9th house. Now, the 9th house is it's what you believe. It's your deep beliefs. It's your opinions on the world. It's not necessarily your thinking. It's stuff that you've already thought through. That would be your 3rd house. And by the time it makes it up to that 9th house, it's stuff that, because of your experiences, you've already developed this philosophy, right? You're kind of fixed on it. It also represents the house of our spirituality and our religion. Okay, it goes back that far, or that deep, I should say. It is Jupiter energy, so it's very expansive, and it's typically not very tangible. All right, it's more of the ethereal stuff. It's more of the way out there and connecting to the cosmos. When we talk about Saturn energy, Saturn is restrictive. Saturn, having Aquarius energy in your 9th house, your beliefs actually would be quite unique. You would have very different beliefs than most folks, typically, because of Aquarian energy. Now, I don't have your personal chart in front of me, so I can't speak specifically, but what that would mean, if you have Aquarian energy in your 9th house, Aquarian thinks outside of the box, all right? They like to be different. It's all about individuality, being able to have my own set of beliefs within a group, but somehow not being a part of the group, but yet somehow being an individual within the group. That is what Aquarian energy is all about. It's like, okay, I know I belong to this group, but I know how myself is separate from the group at the same time. So Aquarian energy can be cool and distant at times because of that, right? Now, when you have Saturn there, Saturn tends to be cold. So it's a cold energy coming into what can feel like a cold and distant sign. When Mars joins them, or I should say joins Saturn, March 31st, there is this restriction that occurs because Mars is your body, right? Mars wants to take action. So these beliefs that you have, right? These deep beliefs, these opinions, you may want to take action with them because wherever Mars goes in your chart, it activates that area of your life. And that area of your life is, you may be thinking, I want to travel, because that also represents the ninth house. That's a tangible part of the ninth house. Getting in the car and going for a really long road trip, or I want to get on a plane. Recognize you may have these strong urges because Mars will be going through that house. And you may be trying to think of different ways that you can go and travel, right? You might be a really unique person. You might have been someone who said, hey, I mean, actually, yeah, you might even be a pilot or something if you've got the air energy in that ninth house. The ninth house is how we take our long journeys. And considering you have Aquarian energy there, and Aquarius is about flight. It's about flight because of the fact that it represents, like when I think of the Wright brothers, that's the sign of Aquarius, right? Matter of fact, I think that's when the planet Uranus was discovered, actually. And that's how they associate it with that. So there's all these historical events that have occurred and dates and stuff. And so you can always tie astrological planets, and you can tie the cosmos in with what happens up there happens down here, and vice versa. You get it. You're like, oh, because of the energy and the beams and the frequencies that were coming down, man then took that and created this. He channeled it through him, right, and created this. And that's what happened in the sign of Aquarius. And that is what is in your ninth house. Aquarius is all about innovative thinking, okay? It's advancements for humanity. So when you see that, when you understand it, you can better realize that if Saturn is there, Saturn adds restrictions to that. Saturn somehow, you know what, Saturn's goal isn't to restrict to the degree of, well, I'm the one who gives the rules, damn it, and this is how it has to be. The point of Saturn is to organize things. Saturn is very responsible, all right? Saturn says, we're going to get this done, but there's rules and there's steps and there's no shortcuts. Now that could be difficult because Mars likes to just go ahead and do things. Mars likes to go ahead. Mars is impulsive and passionate. So it doesn't want to follow somebody else's rules. So you get the gist of the energy of Mars and Saturn together. Now, how long is this going to last? It begins, it's already effective, like 27th, 28th of March. You already feel the restrictions, right? We're hearing additional restrictions, you know, within the government down on the people as far as, okay, you can't go here, you can't go here. States that weren't requiring social distancing and stay-at-home lockdown orders are now implementing them finally. You know, flattening the curve is at this point the best next step for us as a group. And so these energies are going to dissipate when Mars moves away from Saturn. So when does this happen, right? Well, if I take a look at the numbers and I look at the planets here, we're going to have, it's going to be the beginning of April, so we don't have to wait real long. By April 3rd, April 4th, you're going to have a noticeable change in your life. Now, I don't mean noticeable as in we can go back to work. No, that's not going to happen. I mean noticeable as in Mars pulls away from Saturn, so we might not feel as restricted. Mars is now in Aquarian energy, and it's acclimated because it's like at 2 degrees now. It's not at 0 degrees anymore. And when a planet moves into a sign, when it's transiting through it, when it just gets there for the first time, technically it's called an ingress. When it first gets to that new sign, it's like anything. Anything that you're doing for the first time, you're new at it. So it's awkward. It feels uncomfortable. It's the same way with the planets. It's the same idea. It gets into this sign, and so after it's been there for a few degrees, it gets used to it and becomes more comfortable with it because it understands, okay, I get it. These are the rules. So it starts thinking very innovative, though, and very creative, actually, because that's what Aquarius is. It's like Aquarian energy is we can get energy from the mind of God. Right? We get energy from the cosmos coming in. And so we start thinking outside the box and taking action with it. You get it? It pulls away from Saturn. It's like, okay, these are the rules, but, you know, think about this. This is how wonderful inventions occur. When people are taken outside of their mundane, pre-programmed way of doing things. Okay, I get up at 8 a.m., I go eat breakfast, I go and I do this, then I get in the car and I drive to work. Well, right, well, we're all outside of that right now. We are all taken out of our habitual patterns that we've set up in our everyday 9 to 5 life, and we're living a different way. And so all of a sudden we're going to be getting information that comes in to help us move forward, all right, through the month of April, because Mars will be in Aquarius energy for the entire month of April. Now, let's talk a little bit more about some of the seriousness of Jupiter conjunct Pluto. Pluto is deep. It's transformational. And when Pluto and Jupiter get together, Jupiter adds to things. All right, Jupiter expands upon what's happening. That's what Jupiter does. It's typically beneficial. All right, so when Jupiter and Pluto are together, we see sweeping changes happening in your life. Now, these sweeping changes, you're not new to this. All right, you already know it's happened because Pluto's been in the sign of Capricorn for like 14 years already, and this is what we're talking about, Pluto energy. So for Gemini Ascendant, Gemini Rising, this is your 8th house energy. So this is your shared resources. This is the energy of where you merge with other folks. And you do it in a tangible way because Capricorn is there. So this would be physical shared resources, right? This would be your spouse's money because you're married to this person. If you're a business partner and you have shared assets, that would be this. Now, this is all changing. This is all transforming. Understand the big picture. These are sweeping, deep changes that are going to be permanent, right? We are not going back to the way we were before. Understand that. And when we go back, right, when all this craziness ends, things are going to be different no matter who you are. All right? This is a definite because it's a Pluto thing. All right? Pluto rips shit out by the root. All right? And it requires new growth. Jupiter. That's where Jupiter comes in. Jupiter adds a benefit. And that's where Venus comes in right now. Venus right now is adding a benefit. She's trining these guys. This is 24 degrees. So 23, 24, 25 degrees Capricorn energy is where Pluto and Jupiter are. And we also have Venus at like 24, 25 degrees in Taurus energy. Now, where's the ease coming from? Where is your Taurus energy? This is coming from your 12th house. This is your mystery house, right? 12th house is the unconscious. It's the subconscious. It's stuff we're not aware of. All right, so you somehow likely have hidden resources. You're going to have a benefit coming through. It could be very much tangible because it's Venus in Taurus, and that is tangible. That's money, okay? Now, Venus doesn't last long, okay? Venus moves fast, so this is a one-time thing. But what's not a one-time thing, and what's a little bit longer lasting, is when Venus moves into the Aquarian energy. I should say Gemini energy. When Venus gets to Gemini around April 1st, April 2nd, April 3rd, she starts sending a sweet, beautiful trine to Saturn in Aquarius. So she trines Saturn and she trines Mars, and that adds ease to your life. Now, your Aquarius energy is in your 9th house of your beliefs, okay? And Venus is going to be entering your 1st house, Gemini. So what does this mean? Venus coming in your 1st house is adding, this is you personally. This is your ascendant. This is your physical body, all right? This is adding ease to there in some way, shape, or form. Now, to find out, there might be other factors in your chart specifically to you and to your birth time, okay? There might be some squares to that Venus, or there might be additional trines. The only way to know is comment the stuff below, and I can check it out for you. All right. Now we're going to talk about the full moon. We have a full moon in Libran energy. Full moon is heightened emotions. It's at 18 minutes and 44, or 18 degrees and 44 minutes. This is in your 5th house. Your 5th house is all about it's where you have fun. It's your area of life. It's what you do to have a good time. It's how you express. It's a very creative placement. This means that when you have significant one-on-one relationships, that's fun for you, right? You like things to be fair and balanced, and that gives you joy. For things to have symmetry gives you joy. So if you are artistic, I would imagine your artwork would have this beautiful sense of balance established in it, because that would be considered fun for you to somehow establish balance and order in a way where you want things to be peaceful and beautiful, right? Because you have Libran energy there. Now, understand the 5th house is also your creative projects, but those creative projects can also be your children. At 1844 degrees, knowing that full moons represent emotions, what you want to find out is if you have anything squaring it. And a square would be anything in either Cancer or Capricorn at 1844. And then you would know, okay, I'm going to have some stress and tension in my life. But I can't answer that for you. I don't know that unless you comment your stuff, and then I can help you find that out. The full moon is on April 7th, April 8th. And at that time, because it's elevated emotions, you want to remember not to let your emotions control you, okay? Because the fifth house is also our romantic partners, all right? So if you're in a relationship or if you're just simply dating, well, obviously the dating scene has been kind of squashed, but there are folks, I would imagine, who think about this. If people were in the stage of the relationship where they were together but yet they lived separately, this could be an interesting time, like they're not seeing each other. Or maybe some folks have said, you know what, we're going to spend our quarantine time together. I'm going to hunker down at your place, or I'm going to hunker down at your place. And so there might be things happening where people are like rethinking that, okay? This would all be normal, okay? And this would be, well, to be expected. Now, when we talk about Venus going through Gemini, now this is going to be a time of understanding how you value yourself. Self-love, okay? Self-worthiness. This is what's going to happen if you don't have that. If there's any area of your life, any time when you come to think about yourself, whether it be in how you love others or how you love yourself or what your values are in general, but it's really highlighting you, okay? So this would be sending beneficial energy to your Libran energy, your fifth house of your dating and mating and your romance and your children and your creativity, because it's an air sign. And so this is a really, really nice thing. So this is good news, and I'm liking this. At the same time, Venus will go in a retrograde. And when she does, you're going to go way more internal, okay? And I'll give you dates and degrees at a later time. We'll talk about that another time. But this is really a hunkering down and reevaluating yourself and finding things about yourself that you might not have appreciated before. And now you're going to be coming upon a time where you're realizing you have things about yourself. You'll be discovering things, more things about yourself that you love. So a Gemini ascendant, Gemini rising, I hope this has put some light upon your path. Take care. Bye.